Hello, beautiful souls. The past couple of days, the subject of vulnerability has been on my mind and on my heart. There are a lot of people out there that are really having to face feeling vulnerable for probably the first time, like in a very real way. And vulnerability is not an easy thing to feel. And I have really had a lot of sympathy for these people out there that are really, really feeling it for the first time. A lot of people are vulnerable physically. They have compromised immune systems. They might be going through chemo. There's a lot of physical things going on, which makes them vulnerable. A lot of people are vulnerable emotionally, especially if you're prone to anxiety or depression. This situation really is opening that up in bigger, more uncomfortable ways, for sure. And along those emotional lines, when it comes to vulnerability, a lot of us have learned through the years that vulnerability is somehow a weakness. A lot of us have a lot of stories wrapped around vulnerability, a lot of mindsets. I know that for myself, I've worked on vulnerability through the last few years. I personally felt in my life that if I showed my vulnerability, that somehow that was a weakness, that somehow I wasn't strong. I definitely had my own stories wrapped around it based on my life experiences. So I have found that when it comes to vulnerability, it is absolutely necessary to sit with that feeling, and it is uncomfortable. I think most people would agree with that. It's also working through those emotions of feeling vulnerable and really doing some digging. And let's face it, folks, most of us are on pause. We're at home when we haven't been. We're in the midst of this stillness and lack of action, and we're not used to that. So take that time to dig a little bit deeper and find out those roots. Ask yourself, what does vulnerability look like for me? What does that mean for me? Where did I learn to not be vulnerable? What happened to me? Was it someone that said something along the way? Was it something that I read? Where did I pick up these belief systems regarding being vulnerable? It's really necessary to do the homework. And we're in this position, we're in this situation, and it's as tough as it is. It's really an opportunity to heal. It's really an opportunity to get to the root of some of our major issues. So I understand that it's difficult, but it is necessary. Another thing that I discovered in working through my issues around vulnerability, and also in turn showing where I'm vulnerable, what I learned was it gives people the ability to be comfortable in their own vulnerability. So when we really work on ourselves and uncover those issues and come to grips with that, it in turn leads us to be more authentic, which in turn, when we show up authentically, it allows others to do the same. So this is a tough area, but we are all in this together, and we are all displaying different ways that we are vulnerable. So I encourage you to feel it and sit in it for a little bit, even though it's uncomfortable, and move through it. And I promise you, you'll get through it on the other side, and it will be highly beneficial on how you move forward in your life. I hope you are safe and all is well. If you are not well, things will get better, and I wish you the best. Much love.